Welcome to Yabberon. This is a podcast where we like to get together with people we don't know yet, have a chat with them, learn a little bit about them. I'm here today with Ray.
Hello, Kuschert.
Kuschert.
Yeah,
Kuschert.
German origin, but my forefathers moved to Australia around 1850, I think.
Okay.
1840, they jumped off a boat in Melbourne, and that's how the name got to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in a place called Swan Bay, just outside of Ho Chi Minh City. Now, are there any swans here?
Only on top of the building. There's a big, dirty swan. If you got a fly cam and fly over the thing, you'll see a big...
It's not a living swan?
No, it's a 10-metre swan.
Okay. So do you know where the name come from?
No, because it's not Vietnamese, so someone sorted it up, and certainly I don't know if there is there any swans in Vietnam at all? I don't think I've ever seen one.
I have seen some.
I've seen a few gooses, but that's another story.
Not native. Yeah, there's plenty of geese around. But I've seen some swans at zoos and things like that. But there's no live swans here.
No, none at all. I don't know where they got the name from. In fact, there's actually two swan bays. This is this one, and about 6 kilometres south, there's a second one, and it's like Swan Bay Town or something. It's got a slightly different name. Unrelated. Well, it's owned by the same people, I think.
Okay.
Same developer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's two Swan Bays, but this one's certainly much better because it's next to the river. Yeah.
And you've been in Vietnam for how long now?
Now 12, 13 years. 2013.
A veteran.
Yeah, getting there. I remember listening to people saying, I've been here for 7 years, and I'd been here for 1 year, and thinking, oh wow, that's so long. And here I am now, more than a decade. So
And then now, when people tell you they've been here for 7 years,
that's rookie.
It's funny how it changes like that. Yeah. And then sometimes you hear about guys that have been here for 20 years, and then it's just like, oh.
Yeah, my Uncle Greg. Uncle Greg is. He's not my uncle, but he was here in the war with my uncle. Right. Okay. And he lives over in Yabberon, and he's been here for. Because I've been here for 12. I think he was here 10 years before me, so he must be over 20 years he's been living here.
So do you see him much?
Oh, a few times a year. I mean, I'm working and stuff like that. And he's retired, of course. He's in his 70s. Yeah. But I try and catch up a few times a year. Yeah, he's a good man.
Interesting place to retire in Yabberon.
Yeah, he's got a partner. He's been with his partner for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. I don't know, 20 years maybe. So
okay.
And so they settled in over there, and he's a good man, really good man. I'm very lucky to have good people like that here. So,
and I only say it's an interesting place because Yabberon is a southern suburb of. It's part of a southern suburb of Saigon. It's quite industrial.
It's the end of the city, and it's captured the boom of building.
Yes,
surely. So they took the shittiest land and they built really high apartments on it. Yeah. And sold them really, really quickly. And he's living in one of those apartments. You know, it's okay. Bit far for the city for me. Yeah,
exactly. A bit too far and not close enough.
Yeah, a bit too far. Traffic's bad. Roads are bad to get to District 1. There is a bubble in District 7 in Yabberon. If you're over there, you like to work over there and live over there. So the only time I ever go to District 7 is to visit Uncle Greg. So I wouldn't go there otherwise. Okay. Even from here, there's actually a back road that goes across to the Yabberon ferry.
Yes.
It's about 35k. Okay. But it's quite quick across the countryside. Then you get into Yabberon and it's another. Okay. It's about 8 k's from there up to Crescent Mall.
Right.
So there's a back road into it. So still wouldn't go there though.
Well, I came here today not to talk about your uncle so much, although that's pretty interesting too. But I want to talk about you. I want to find out about what makes you tick and some things you feel about yourself and the world around you. But the first question we'll ask is. What is something you're good at? Something you're specifically good at that's maybe better than someone else?
All right. Well, of course, the first reaction is nothing, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But So this year I won a literary prize. Now I suppose it takes a bit of explaining. This year, April 30, was the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam-America conflict.
Oh yes.
And there was a lot of celebration, as you quite easily see if you look online.
Yep.
Massive celebration, and they focused it here in Ho Chi Minh City because this is where peace happened for Vietnam. Up at the palace on the 30th of April, 1975. So there was massive celebrations. As a result, they had a lot of other events, and one of the events that they had, which ran the course of 2024 and was finalised early 2025, was a writing competition. Now this writing competition it ran for 12 months, and it had a monthly winner, and it had an overall winner.
And it was open to everyone, or just foreigners?
No, it was in Vietnamese.
Okay.
So it was open to foreigners, but all the stories were published in Vietnamese.
So you wrote it in Vietnamese?
No, I wrote it in English.
Okay.
And so
I was going to say that's very impressive.
it's actually a really good story. This is. I hope I can say it properly. So I had a friend who worked at the newspaper. I've got a friend who works at the newspaper, a different newspaper than I'm associated with, and she messages me and says, "Hey, there's this competition. This is the topic. Can you write something for me?" Anyway, so this is back in November of 23. And probably late Sunday night at home, I sit down in front of the computer and I knock out this story about my life. And so March of 24, I win the monthly award.
From that story?
Yeah, and well, that's pretty cool. And then this year in March, I get a phone call from a boy at the newspaper saying, "Oh, can you come down to District 1? We need to take some video of you." And, okay, why?
Yeah.
And so short story was I'm sitting there, and I got given. I was in the presentation thinking, maybe I was the top foreigner, or I come third or something.
Yeah.
And I had a presentation pack, and I gave it to my wife. And she's reading it, and she's starting to cry, and she's like having a heart attack.
Wow!
I said, "Shut up! What are you doing? You're going to embarrass me." She goes, "You've won!" And I won first prize. Yeah. What was it?
So you knew you'd won, but you didn't know you'd
won. Yeah, won
everything.
First prize. Yeah, I thought I was just like a high recommendation, best foreigner or something like that. And so I won. I won for telling the story of my life in relation to Vietnam.
Oh, right.
And having it translated to Vietnamese, and millions of Vietnamese people read it. And it was a full circle moment for me. It was just amazing. I was humbled, and I don't know. It was a bizarre feeling.
So it was because it was a reflection on yourself, but also on what the country means to you.
Oh, okay. So this is where it gets complex. So my father was here in the war in 1965 and 1966, and growing up, let's just say I had a lot of problems, and one of the easy ways out was that I could just blame the war for all my problems at home. Oh well, the reason my family's like that is because of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
You know, and again, there's a long story related to that.
Yeah.
And that was my motivation for coming here, for a holiday in 2012, and ultimately for me moving here. So be able to sit down and to talk, it's a 3,000 word story. So it's reasonably detailed, and to actually put that full circle into a story was amazing in itself.
Yeah.
But to win first prize, so my 45 odd years on this earth was captured in 3,000 words, and it was kind of like a moment. I don't know. It's hard to say.
And you said you wrote it in one night?
Yeah, I wrote it in one night.
Because I'm a writer as well, and I've got things that I've been writing for literally months. That's no joke. Almost a year. I've got articles that I haven't finished.
Mm.
So what do you think? Do you think it was? What do you think that made that article so powerful for them?
I have to read it again.
You?
Well, for me it was that idea. So the topic was why I love Ho Chi Minh City, I believe, or something close to why I love Ho Chi Minh City, and mine wasn't so much why I love it, but it was more about finding a home and saying sorry and receiving forgiveness. It's too deep. It's too deep to explain. But it was that whole
I think I know where you're coming from. It's like it sounded like for a lot of your life you had animosity towards this place because of your father and maybe what he said and what you said about
And so for I stood beside the woman who come up with the idea of renaming Saigon Ho Chi Minh City. Right. She was there, and she sat beside me.
That's one of those. I've had a moment not that extreme, but something similar. It's amazing sometimes to realise that so many things happened here for your father's when your father was here, and when my stepfather was here back then.
Yep.
And what happened back then, and to have experiences that we have now, it's almost like it's very hard to explain.
Well, I mean, I suppose this is rather abstract and extreme in its words, but I've always had this underlying feeling that if not our generation, certainly me and others in my position, we needed to give something back to Vietnam, because it was quite clear that what happened was wrong. Not anybody did anything wrong. Mm-hmm. There was no one to blame, but what happened was wrong. And so one of my motivations for moving here was to give back.
And you gave back through your writing?
Well, charity, working, helping people speak English.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 different reasons I can explain how I gave back, but that story was that moment I just laid it so bare on the table for millions and millions of people to read. Literally, it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be too extreme to say that more than 5 million people read my story, and.
But I think
it was over.
I think that's where though your best talents come out, is where you don't think too much and you just do whatever you act on almost like an impulse.
Yeah, impulse. Yeah.
And you just let it happen, and it comes out, and it's amazing.
It's amazing, and a bit of tweaking maybe at the end of it. Maybe I'll check it a couple of days later just for flow and that.
Yep.
But I don't cry much, but I had a bit of a cry that day.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a bit of a cry that day.
So that's something you're amazing at, is writing. Something you're good at, better than most. I wish more people would try to be better writers and practice being better writers these days. But I mean, it doesn't matter what I want, but I think it's a great skill to have. Yeah. And there's a lot of value in writing because it helps you think.
Helps you think. It creates new ideas.
Yeah.
The way people learn, the way people properly learn, is through stories. Yeah. And the only way to capture stories is to write them. At one point you've got to write them. Yeah. It's okay to tell a story, but you've got to put them in the right words. And just like I did with my story, I put it in the right words, and I won first prize. It was pretty amazing.
Good evidence to show that you are talented. extra talented at that compared to other people.
I try my best.
What's something that, for the second question now, something on the converse of that? The converse of that?
Yeah. Conversely,
conversely,
no, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
We're both teachers and both writers, but we're still.
Friday afternoon.
I still don't know the right words to use sometimes. Almost on the opposite of that, what is something you would like to be better at? Something maybe you're not so good at, but you would like to be better at?
Look, if I look, because I'm in my 50s, I don't have those career goals, I suppose, that other people have in their life. You know, you're always trying to get somewhere bigger and better. I believe that I'm reasonably good as a teacher after doing it for 10 years. But, you know, as you get older, one of the things that you always want to really improve yourself with is the physical side. So, you know, as I mentioned to you before, I'm now retired as a runner. My best time was 2 hours flat for a half marathon. And even though I'm getting older, you still want to get better. Okay, so now I've had to retire because I've got a heart problem.
Oh, that's the competitive edge.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if like I ride a bicycle, I swim. Yep. It doesn't matter what pickleball, anything, golf, whatever. You still want to get better. You want to improve. You want to get stronger, and it actually causes me a lot of frustration because having gone through some health issues in the last year, you know what you want to do, but your body just can't get there, and that's one of the frustrating parts of my life. You know, my original plan was to have an adventure this year and ride to Hanoi, from Ho Chi Minh to Hanoi on my bicycle, but I was going to do 100 kilometres a day, and I've had to change that to 50. You know, because I've got to be real, and I'm just not getting better. I'm okay. I'm just not getting better. You know.
So what do you use? You want to get better at being physical or being more physical or better health?
Well, better health. I had a very unfortunate experience that brought on a lot of health issues, and so I'm hoping that with time, it's only just changed now. With time, that over the course of this year, that will happen.
And so, what motivates you? What kind of motivation do you reach forward to try to get that?
Fear. Fear of getting old. Fear of not being accepted in society as you once were.
Yes.
You know, some of us go through life like Superman. They never have a bad day.
Yeah.
And eventually the bad days catch up with you. And so I suppose, you know, since COVID, it sounds really bizarre, but fear has been a big motivator.
I think a lot of people have also, even myself, I'm a little bit younger than you, I'm only 40, but I've realised that I need to get better with my health. I always like to use the defence that, look at that guy over there. I'm way more healthy than him from the outside. You know, it's purely superficial. But I think that period a few years ago made me, at the time, it got me really motivated to do something about it, but it slowly weaned off that kind of drive.
I was lucky. I was top flight. When I say top flight for my age and the like. I was top flight marathon runner at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
Lost it all, and then I fought my way back to do a ultra marathon, 50k, in Australia in 2022, and then I followed it up with a couple of half marathons after. But I never got back to where I was. You know.
So another question. Well, we have another two questions actually.
Easy.
The future. What is something about the future that you're... First of all, let's do something that you're nervous about, something you're a little bit worried about in the future.
Easy answer. And now that I'm 57, even though I'm normal. I don't have any I don't have any weird thought processes, or I don't shake when I talk or anything like that.
You're sane. You're relatively sane
and capable.
Yep.
And but you know, it's a two-pronged thing. One is the actual age, and the other one is relative to Vietnam. But basically it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that people seem to have this weird concept of, if you're over 50 you can't do the job. Mm. Oh no, well how can you teach a bunch of teenagers because you're over 50, you know?
Is that more of from a kind of like a sympathy perspective?
No,
like,
no.
You should relax. Or
it's absolute prejudice.
Like you're out of touch.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're over 50, so you're not capable.
Yeah.
In my previous company, my wonderful previous company that I've just left, they advertised my job 3 days after I left. And one of the things they put in the ad was that must be able to communicate with Gen Z.
This is a big thing, not just for foreigners, for locals too.
Yeah, and
over 35, very difficult to get a job.
And
very difficult.
And so on the Vietnam side, I think it's because it's related to the war. So there was a high number of deaths during the war. And so what that has done, when we know with the studies, it has limited the older population. So Vietnam has traditionally been a very young population.
Yeah.
And so me as 57, born in 1967, I am the equivalent age of the barrier of that smaller amount of people. People older than me, a lot of them were killed.
Yeah.
And so there weren't many 60-year-olds or there weren't many 50-year-olds in Vietnam 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so now that there are more and more people that are getting up to this over 50 age, post-war people, the culture is, well, you're too old. You're old. It's too old, because the generations have, or the mass of the population have been younger.
And there is a big gap between those two generations too.
And so that's
as in a knowledge gap.
Yeah. And so that's the Vietnam aspect of it, where they look at someone who's like 50 or 60 as being, you know, out the pasture.
Put him in the long yard.
Cannot do anything.
Quite Slim Dusty.
But also, it's the same in Australia, and so it's
similar.
It's a global thing. You apply for a job in Australia, and you put down that you're in your mid to late 50s, and immediately you just get a reply, thanks for the offer, no thank you. And there's no consideration at all. On one side, people are short-staffed, but then they're not willing to give skilled, capable people an opportunity just because of their age.
Yes, and actually I remember hearing someone say something about this recently as well, is that a lot of the times they'd always use that as an excuse, as in, well, if you're 55 years old, well, you may not be working with us for another 10 years. And it's like, but every age is like that now. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're a 30-year-old, it doesn't mean you're going to work for another 10 years for the same company.
The average tenure of a person traditionally in the workplace is 3 years.
And that's got nothing to do with age. It's just the reality
of life.
Yeah.
They work for 3 years, they move on.
Yeah. Okay. Especially the modern workforce.
So, you know, you think about it. What job did you have when you were 25?
When I was 25,
or 26 or something like that.
I was working. I was working as a fitter. I was a mechanic. I'm a mechanic by trade. But
so you're a fitter.
I was working at a fitter in Asquith, near Hornsby.
So 15 years on, give or take. Yep. How many people are still working in that company that you know?
Probably very few. Actually.
Exactly. So
they've all moved on.
That's your answer. You know. Yeah. Admittedly, I'm a little bit older than you, but let's go back to let's go back to something reasonable. Let's go back to 2000. 25 years ago, I was working for Armaguard, and there were something like 600 employees at Armaguard at the time, and of those 600 people, 25 years later, there might be 2 or 3 still working.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so that's what life is all about. Yeah, 3 years, move on to the next job.
And see, I guess that would be okay, but on the opposite side of that, it's not okay because the employers aren't recognising that kind of short-termness in the workforce.
They have this rose-coloured glasses view that everyone's going to work forever, and it's not the case. You come
in some ways,
you
but
do
in
your job, you leave.
Yeah.
You know, you come, you do your job for 2 or 3 years. You know, I've just finished a 6-year contract. I think that was very, very long, working for 6 years for one company, even here in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality of life. So why has age got to do with that? If I'm 57, if I start working for ABC Language Centre in Vietnam, I work for 3 years.
It's a tough one to spell, that one.
You know, the ABC.
I always mess it up. Yeah.
And I work for 3 years, I get bored and I move on to the next one. I've still got 10 years working life after I leave ABC Language Centre, you know. So anyway, that's something that I'm really fearful of, in that my capability and in fact, my exceptional capability does not get recognised, and as a result, I struggle financially in the future. You know,
I do have a similar fear in the same kind of vein, as in I'm very worried about back home in Australia, but also here as well. But I'm particularly worried about as people leave the workforce. I mean, you're not a boomer, are you?
No. I'm post-boomer.
You're Gen X.
I'm 3 years below boomer. Yeah.
But especially boomers, my parents.
Yeah.
As they leave, they have left the workforce over the last few years.
Yep.
They're not passing down their knowledge to the younger people like they used to.
Yeah.
And even people your generation, you're not getting the ability to pass down what you've learned.
Well,
and that's what I'm worried about.
Because, and you can, me as an example, I have a range of skills, a range of abilities through 40 years of active employment.
Yeah.
But if I move back to Australia, I would most likely be driving a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So here in Vietnam in 2025, I win a National Literary Award. And if I move back to Australia tomorrow, the likelihood of me driving a truck or working as a security guard would be the most likely job option or job availability I have, you know, or working for Bunnings or something like that, you know.
Yes, I have thought about that a bit too, and it is kind of chalk and cheese to think about it, but it's also good to keep it in perspective too.
I've got a couple of friends from school. One of my dear friends, a lady same age as me, she works at Bunnings and she's got exceptional skills. Yeah. She had a wonderful career. Another mate of mine was in construction industry. He's now driving a bus for Sydney buses. And again, 57 years old, you know.
I wouldn't mind being a bus driver, but not in the city. No, give me a country route. Let me drive the country.
That's my fear. My fear is that even though I've got the ability to do it, I've got the physical ability and the mental ability to achieve so much.
Yes.
Not the cultural, but the corporate culture will stop me from having that availability.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know where it's going to go. And being unemployed at the moment, it's one of the things I have to look at seriously this year.
So let's end on a positive.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things you're excited about? Something you're looking forward into the future in your life, or it could be in the world in general.
It's the same. It's the same answer actually.
Yeah.
I've just finished some study in Australia, and which is kind of related to teaching, but also a little bit different. And so that very same problem of not having the opportunity is actually the thing I'm probably most excited about. I would really love to have 7 jobs.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, you could call it freelancing, contracting, or anything like that. But I think in this period of my life, the thing that would make me most happy is not to have one full-time job.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I work for a newspaper in Ho Chi Minh, a newspaper in Hanoi. I also work for a website in Vietnam, all writing. I do some other freelancing work related to we call it copywriting, stuff like that. I also do some voiceover work and the like. I have my own YouTube channel, an Aussie in Vietnam.
I'll link that in the description to the video.
And so I've already got these jobs, but they don't pay a lot of money. But if I want to add another packet of jobs, maybe working 2 days a week as a teacher, one class a week, a private class, 1 day a week, working maybe online training in Australia or something like that. If I could have that mix of different jobs, not being attached to just one employer, I think that'd be pretty exciting for me.
And it sounds like it's not even just hedging your bets. It's just you just said that you've learned a lot in your life, you've done a lot of things, and that's a nice way to somehow share those skills and continue to give.
And just enjoy what you do rather than have, and we all do it. Doesn't matter how good your job is, and it doesn't matter how good your employer is, but we have a full-time job, and the reason we leave after 3 years is because we get bored of the people, and we get bored of the same thing over and over and over again. Certainly, I worked for 7 years for a contracting teaching company here in Vietnam when I first come here, and whilst I actually really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the people, but I worked at the same 2 schools for 7 years, and I even to the point where I taught the same kids 3 years in a row. Grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and or grade 6, grade 7, and grade 8. And grade 9, I got the same class again, and I just said, I don't want it. Go away. I just don't want it. Give it to somebody else. And because it just gets so boring. So having
I can imagine for the kids too. No offence.
Well, actually, ironically, a little bit of a pat on the back for me. They got a Scottish fella.
Oh yeah.
And there were some really lovely kids in that class.
Could they understand him?
They come in and said, "Ray, can you please come back? This guy, he doesn't speak English."
Yeah.
I said, "Mate, don't worry, he's Scottish. I can't understand him either."
So I've had that too. Irish. I could tell you a story about an Irish guy. I sat in on once he was doing an IELTS class, and he had to. He was teaching them how to pronounce certain words. And he said a word, and the class was deadpan. They had no idea. They're looking around, and then he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, this word." And I'm like,
"Come here."
What do you? Even I couldn't understand what he was saying, and he was teaching English, so
it happens. Yes.
The Irish and the Scots, they're good. You just got to tone it down a little bit with their accent when they teach English.
So that's
like
what
I'm
really excited about. If I end up in some format like that. Maybe 50% working from home, 50% out in the field. I think that'd be a pretty exciting way to spend the next 10 years.
Have you ever done 100% work from home?
Only during COVID. Well, essentially, I'm doing it now because I've got the 2 newspapers. Or voiceover work. I usually get. I don't get much now because of AI. I used to get 1 job a week, or 2 or 3 jobs a month. But I'm lucky to get 1 job every 6 months now. So
it's tough to do 100% work from home. I think 50-50 or some kind of combination is good.
Yeah, combination would be good, and also even going beyond our shores. So with technology now, there is no reason why you can't work in almost any country in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would like to expand, and certainly back home in Australia, there are some financial reasons as well. But I'm working in Australia in relation to paying tax and the like. So I'd love to get a gig in Australia, just part-time, but working remotely.
So there's a lot to look forward to, actually.
Yeah, there is. It's about opportunity. If the opportunity comes, happy days. If the opportunity doesn't come, as I've seen with some of my friends, it can be tough.
But as long as there's certain people and there's mindsets that you have to be open to the opportunity.
Yeah.
And some people, just depending on who they are and who they're hanging out with or how things have worked out for them, the opportunity doesn't come, or they don't put themselves into an opportunity.
Yeah, I suppose
so. I think if you can do that though, like you're saying, things don't seem so difficult.
No, and I've been in Vietnam now for 12 or 13 years. Mm-hmm. In that time, I just finished a certificate in Australia. Before that, I did a statement of attainment in Australia. Before that, I did a degree in France. Before that was a diploma in Australia, and then I did a diploma somewhere else. I can't remember. So I've constantly studied across the last decade.
That's the problem. You're overqualified.
Yeah, probably.
You're one of those people.
Yeah. So and I'm going.
Whenever people see that many certificates on a page, they're like, "We can't afford him."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So I constantly keep my skills up.
Yeah, that's good.
But anyway, we'll see how we go. It's about opportunity. Basically, give me the work, I'll do it. And we'll see how.
It's a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
Ray, I think that's it. I think we're about up for time.
Yeah.
It's been nice getting to know you.
Yeah. Welcome to Swan Bay. And as I said, Aussie in Vietnam. Look it up on Google. You'll see me. And look at my newspaper articles.
Yeah, we'll share all that in the links below. So,
what else is there?
I'm keen to read this article. I haven't read it yet either.
I'll find it. Yeah, actually,
winning article.
It's actually not available. I'll have to actually send you the original.
Oh, it's behind a paywall.
No, it's available in Vietnamese, but it's not available in English. And
Okay, we can share that still.
And the Vietnamese version, the words are actually, it doesn't have that same flow if you translate it back to English.
Yeah.
It's got that little bit of a tweak to it, so it's better if I'll give you the original.
Sounds
I've
good.
got it there. I'll send it to you later. Thanks, mate. Nice to meet you. Yep. See you next time.
Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.